Paul here with the Otherworld Aftermath by Jackal Tactical. I have some special guests here tonight. We're going to talk about the past, present, and future of our Wishwell game series. We have the one and only Phantom of the Airsoft, Tommy B himself, Hells, and Frank Dad Airsoft.
Please stand by for further instructions.
Now I just want everyone to introduce themselves and let everyone know what your role in Wishwell was. Want to go first, Phantom?
Yeah, I got you. So I'm Phantom, aka Matt, which is my legal name. I was Patient Zero. We had a great time on the Sub 118s. We actually have a couple guys from my team in the back room watching this right now. Hells?
I was the military CO. My name's actually Caden, but on the field, everyone calls me Hells. We infiltrated Wishwell and successfully cut off all outside communication.
But was it successful?
No, you were too hard to catch.
Tommy, what's up?
Tommy B, I was the blade monger and buffer combat specialist, I guess. Part of the role-playing staff. Yeah, maybe a little behind-the-scenes stuff here and there. Has fun. Frankie?
And Frank Dad here once again. My name's Frank, obviously. And I was the locksmith. That had fun opening doors, locking people out, and running a lockpick village in the staging area, which a lot of people enjoyed. And funny enough, the criminals, like 3 of them knew how to pick locks already, which was kind of scary.
Who would have thought that the criminals would know how to pick locks?
They were definitely good at it.
We got stereotyping.
Well, to bring this back into the kind of beginning of the video, how did this even get thought of? Like, what was the story behind this? How did it, where did it come from?
So, a long time ago, I always wanted to get into doing more LARP stuff. And then, obviously, Airsoft over the last, probably 15 years of my life has taken over. I mean, I've been involved with Airsoft for a long time. But I had a good friend of mine, he actually passed away a couple years ago of cancer. He helped write the original stories for Otherworld, like the Patriots and Federation. If you ever read the stories, they're really good stories. He was actually a published author, so he's really good with that. So I sort of just we took the story, sort of evolved the ending a little bit into a rat getting infected, making Patient Zero, and that became Wishwell. The end of my Civil War and my normal events became the beginning of Wishwell. And we decided, actually me and Tommy probably, maybe a year ago when we started really talking about it, that we decided we wanted to make it more LARP and less Airsoft. I mean, we've been doing Airsoft forever, but I feel like we have a chance with this game as it grows to be really story-driven. You can be yourself or be whatever kind of character you want to be. Less Airsoft, more story LARP is what we're going for with this game.
I mean, that makes sense. And I will have to say that this is probably my first LARP that I've ever done. Have you done LARP yet?
No, and I had a great time, so...
I mean, we already
Tommy's
know.
been to many
we know.
many LARPs.
Ross just called me the guy who got beat up in high school.
Have you ever done LARP?
I've done Rev once.
I don't even know what that is.
It basically is post-apocalypse, but it's kind of LARP.
That's the Battle Hack game.
It's the Battle Hack game.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you that I had a great time doing the... I I mean, I didn't have an airsoft gun the entire time, and it was such a blast.
Oh no, I
having
got
the boffer
hammered.
weapons.
I got hammered by you a few times.
Everyone was
Yeah.
calling him Boss Battle.
Yeah.
Everyone was calling Phantom Boss Battle. He
He was
come in with his
impossible to
shield
kill.
and his hammer.
Yeah,
I watched him walk
impossible.
up the steps on like 4 guys in a tower, and they couldn't get a shot on him, but it was pretty awesome. So
Oh my god, it was
That
so
shield.
fun. So, when you came up with the characters for how to kind of progress the game, like the NPCs and stuff, like so we had the locksmith, we had
the weaponsmith.
the weaponsmith, then we had the butcher.
There was the butcher. I was the wanderer. We had the doctor, which was Dr. Church. He was the main story character, actually probably the most important character. We had the fortune teller.
Wait, what was Greg behind the camera right now? He's waving
Greg
right
was
now.
his character was very important. He was the
Yeah.
trader. Without him, you didn't ever have ammo.
Yeah,
So-
you would have been screwed on the field. How did you come up with those characters?
I don't know. We sort of like originally we gave all the characters like actual names, and then we're like, okay, for this first year, we'd rather instead of us handing names out, we'd rather people like evolve their own characters. So like we're like, let's just call them by like almost like an occupation for this first go around, and then if people really get into their NPC and they want to develop it more, they can start doing a backstory, give their character a first and last name. Maybe they had relation that lived in the city. Maybe they were just passing through, like my character's backstory was. And I mean, that's sort of how we got them names. Was just like, let's think of what can we do. Like the locksmith, like that was one of our first ones we came up with. Like we want to do this whole thing with like you can't just walk in buildings, but we also don't want to make it impossible either. So we're like, okay, well we have a locksmith. He can get in any building he wants, pay him the money, do those things. And that's sort of how every character was evolved. We waited till we wrote missions and stories and be like, okay, so what can we pick out of that? I mean, that's sort of how the hunter came in play. Was like, okay, we need someone who would have like maybe a weapon or a tranquilizer gun or something like that. And we're like, a hunter. Let's do a hunter for that. And that's
Wait,
sort of
is
how
that where
we
they
played
got the tranquilizer gun?
it. Was from the hunter, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you got shot three times with that thing.
I got shot twice.
Oh, you only twice. All right.
We accidentally actually shot him.
Yeah, the military actually killed me during our exchange. I even gave them 3 different chances.
Yeah, and they failed, and they actually killed you.
Yeah.
Who was pulling the trigger?
Goose.
Okay.
Goose
Yeah.
let us down.
Goose.
You
This
got
one's-
you got to fly south, buddy.
Stop it. No, but it was a lot of fun. I would have to say that being a zombie, you were really concerned about filling the zombie slots because you weren't really sure how people would react
I
to that.
still would have liked more, but the people we had were awesome. I mean, there were a lot of times where I'd go on the field and I wouldn't see military or I wouldn't see survivors, I wouldn't see criminals, but I always saw zombies. Especially the guys behind the counter here, the Brothers Graham.
The Brothers Graham.
They were
Those
nuts.
guys there were
Nuts.
awesome, and they were sort of like a last minute thing. They only decided like a couple days, maybe a week before that you guys were coming, and they were fantastic. I mean, we had some other great zombies too, but like the people that did play those roles, like it was awesome.
Next year, join
Awesome.
zombies. We had a blast, and we're gonna have a blast. And so, the one thing that I did hear on the field, coming from a zombie perspective, was the shield was OP. I had a shield and hammer, and a lot of people thought it was like the boss battle type thing.
Yes.
It was so easy for me, but I don't think that. And this is probably one thing that I would have going for next year.
quad.
Huh?
You killed me, and I was on a quad.
I know I killed you and you were on a quad. But the point is like some of the zombies were like, well, I'm going to get a shield for next year. I think that Patient Zero should probably be the only one that has that because I think that would be impossible.
But like, here's the thing though. Just because I get within that 10-foot minimum engagement doesn't mean I have to stay within a 10-foot minimum engagement. There is such a thing as retreating, which I didn't see a lot of people do. And, we felt like, first off, the zombies were already, well, I'm going to call them what they actually are, the Subject 118s were already extremely outnumbered for their faction compared to most. I mean, you had like 17 or 18 guys where most factions had at least 25 to 30 guys. Plus you had no ranged weapons at all. So we had someone say they didn't like the touching out the windows. Well, I love the touching out the windows. I actually scared the crap out of me a couple times walking past the window, and a zombie would like grab, like just not paying attention, you know. And I actually love that aspect. Like I wanted the game to be a little bit more of like a horror feel. I feel like at nighttime we accomplished that, but with the smoke and the light and stuff, I thought it was pretty good at nighttime. But yeah, I mean the shields, we put some thought into it with our leveling up system. If you keep coming to the game, you level up. But we made a rule once again. Tommy and I came up with this early on where we wanted NPCs to be able to wear shields for multiple reasons. But you know they. As an identifier as well as protection, but I'm all for the zombies evolving, especially by leveling up.
Yeah.
If we make a leveling up chart where they get the second, third, fourth level or whatever.
And that's how many games you go to, right?
I get the other side though. With shields, from the LARPing background, I'm so used to disabling, so that doesn't work against the zombies. It was go for the leg. Oh, you're still charging at me. I can't get around you because you have a huge pole arm and a shield. So no, that made you the boss battle.
See, that's something that if you stay in small groups, it's not that hard to pinch on both sides.
right.
You can only pivot so much with a shield.
Well, yeah, you guys actually ended up doing that whenever
Yeah.
I came in. So the thing with my shield is it gave my zombies a time to come up behind me and like.
They used you almost as an accessory shield.
Yeah, and that's why my legs looked like freaking.
But it
I
was
looked like a
awesome,
leper.
though. But there was some awesome like. I'm so excited for we had some great videographers and photographers out there, and I'm so excited to see some of this video because I know they definitely recorded some video. Like I remember the one time I was surrounded by like 12 zombies at one time, and I'll tell you what, that was awesome. It was a lot of fun, but the whole shield thing, man, I just don't want to take anything else away from the zombies. Like they need it. You know, especially in the beginning of the game where everyone just wasted ammo only fighting the subject 118s instead of fighting each other. I'm the reason why they started fighting each other because I made up some lies and it worked. But, you know, I'm not getting rid of the shields. I might not let everyone use a shield or every zombie use a shield, but there's always going to be at least patient zero will have that shield no matter what.
I know that I enjoyed it because it actually gave the military, like, hey, we actually got to think through this strategy, not just... oh, well, I'm just going to sit here and constantly try to shoot them. You actually got to work with other people to...
That was probably one of the things that I had issues with the gameplay and stuff like that. And it wasn't a gameplay factor on Otherworld Milsim. It was more of the factions. They thought it was a good idea to shoot BBs at zombies when all we can do is walk around.
Yeah,
why not hit us with a sword?
Well, not only that, like one thing I want to talk about was the ammo. So we thought... like, okay, first off, I used an airsoft piston for probably about 6 hours of dipping in BBs and filling them in little bags. It took forever. We thought, man, people are going to be complaining. We had people that told us they weren't coming to the game because ammo was so limited. I don't know anyone that ever ran out of ammo. In fact, we've already discussed this. Next year, cut that ammo supply at least in half.
I mean, we got lit up.
At least in half. At least in half. I mean, we
It was so fun.
I mean, really, it was like, I think it was the survivors that told me they didn't trade a single patch in the entire game for ammo because they had enough. They divvied it out perfectly in the beginning of the game to who needed more or whatever, and they didn't waste. And that's why they had a big score, especially on the ammo aspect. Their board was filled with ammo patches.
Trust me, I went in the last 10 minutes of the game to raid their base, and I got lit up by 15 people. And I saw their patch wall afterwards, and I was like, I'm not sure where they got all this ammo from, but there was a lot of patches
medical
there.
too, man. They were trading a lot for towards the end of the game, a lot for medical. So I mean, yeah, they ammo though definitely we're gonna look into some more ways to either to make it harder or something like the idea of the game was you don't have endless supplies of ammo, and that's how we want it to be. Like I said, more LARP, less airsoft, and we're gonna push more LARP next year as well.
Did you like the way that your NPCs kind of like instructed the field, trying to not necessarily even the game out, but like push the story along? Like you had Frank the locksmith. He had a mini game on his own where people would kill me. They would take like $20 from me and then take it back.
Yeah.
Like, did you like the way that?
Yeah. So like what we did, we had like a meeting a couple times. We tried to meet online or talk online or whatever, the best I could, and not as much as people wanted me to, but honestly, we were still trying to figure the game out all the way up until game time. So it was the game ended up being a lot of work. But yeah, so I pretty much told all the we call them RPS, role playing staff, that it's okay to make your own shit up. Like if you can make up your own little side missions and little things to do, that would help the game. And then we decide to like give them a point value, 50 to 250 points, depending on how difficult it was. Like if you sent someone on a mission, like Tom had some missions where they found pieces of scrap metal. You know, if it was difficult for them to get to 10, he would give them up to 250 points. If it was simple, 50 points.
The scrap metal was the aluminum foil things, right?
Yeah, Tommy just wrapped it in cardboard aluminum foil.
A lot of people thought that those were like silver bars. And I was like, no, guys. That's not silver. You don't trade that in.
One thing definitely, speaking of that, like, I know it was in the video, I know it's in the rules, but like we had so many problems with people touching props that they were not on mission to do so. Maybe part of that was my fault. We should have said it more, but like, you don't know how many times I had to go find that rat, especially. That rat was moved like 5 times from the castle, and we had to keep going to find it.
Read the rules.
Read the rules. Watch the rules.
Watch the rules, yes.
Greg spent like 7 billion hours editing that video so people would watch it, and they still didn't watch it. I remember, it was funny, I remember that we're doing the rules beginning of the game. One guy comes up like, those rules were awesome. I'm like, is this the first time you're watching? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, oh my god, the video's been posted for weeks now, and this is the first time you're watching.
We had people at the event show up, didn't watch the video. I made them get their phones out, search the video up, and made them watch it, because that's just nuts.
There'd be no way showing up to this game with no idea whatsoever. I mean, normal Otherworld rules are like 12 to 15 pages. Otherworld Wishwell rules were like 52 pages. So like it's had a lot more rules than a normal Airsoft or Milsim game would have had.
And the cool thing was this was a beta game. Like this was your first time. It was invite only, minus a couple tickets that were sold at the end when you had posted that these are available. And so it was really nice to get the community involved into trying to build this to be something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, we I had an absolute blast with every aspect of this game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love doing Airsoft, I love doing Milsim, but this game was something special to me because, we all got to be a part of it. Like, I wasn't just a ref walking around. I mean, I was in it. I fought, I helped people, I hurt people. Like,
you fought me.
I fought you.
He saved me once. I got bit by you, and he saved me.
I was like, "What the heck, Paul?"
But it was, that's what I want this game to turn into. I want it to be like everyone there for the same common reason. I know everyone wants to win, but like I really feel like more than any other game, this game shouldn't be about that. Like, it was just so cool to see all the different factions. The people's costumes were great. The people that put some time into them and some thought into them were great. And I want this to be like the game that everyone remembers me by when Otherworld is over.
Considering how much conversation after the game was very positive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I had a really good amount of positive feedback. People did message me some of their concerns or things they thought we should change, and I was more than happy to listen to all of them. I agree with a lot of them, and a lot of them I don't agree with. But we had so many. Even still, I just had a message yesterday from a guy who was like, he's like, I'm still in like all over the game, and I wish it was happening again soon. Like, and that means a lot to me when people reach out the way, because like we did, and I'm not just saying just me. There were a lot of people that helped with this game, a lot of people that put a lot of time into this game, and I really do think the more we tweak these rules, and the more we get some more NPCs involved, and some more zombies involved, and a couple more players, that this is going to be one amazing game. I really do believe
So,
that.
Paul, for the future of this, you want it to go from Wishwell the game to Wishwell the experience? Is that what you're telling us?
That's right. That's right.
I did hear you say a lot about like all the people that were behind the scenes. Do you want to thank any of them?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely, I can't, Tommy, I mean, we sat here many nights in this store, like, just going over these rules and, like, why won't this work? Or why does this work? And there was times where me and him disagreed on things. And I probably should have listened to him more, Tommy being the LARPer, and I've never LARPed one damn minute in my entire life.
What's that movie? Nerds!
Other than beating the crap out of Tommy with these boffer weapons in the store over the last 6 months, I never LARPed in my entire life. And, and even just, like, my wife and some other people that just, like, they dealt with me like, not to talk about money, but I spent a lot of money on this game. And it probably, if she really knew the amount of money I spent on this game,
she is after this video.
It probably would be kind of ugly. But, I didn't do it to make, like, this game wasn't about me, like, becoming this, like, great successful moneymaker on this game. It's like, I did this game, I wanted to do this game. I want it to be a success. And then as far as other people helping out, I mean, I can't thank Greg enough. I mean, Greg, literally, one day we're talking on the phone. We're like, oh, we should do an intro video for Wishwell.
Well, that was fun.
And I'm like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? And then we had talked for a couple of days, and all of a sudden, like Friday at like 6 o'clock at night, Greg's like, oh, I can probably come to ambush tomorrow. So we didn't have.
Is that when I got that message?
Yeah. So like, luckily, so we had a hard, like, okay, so it was pretty much, we had me. Frankie said he could be there, and like, I messaged the Havoc guys, and Tom came out, and
some of the Bad Influence
and then,
guys.
some of the Bad Influence guys ended up, we talked to them, and they stayed after, and it's like, I'll tell you what, with us not really having a plan, I thought that intro video came out so good. For what it was, like, we literally, it was not really a script or anything. We just sort of, like, came up with it. Well, I shouldn't say Greg came up with most of it, but it worked out great. I mean, people loved the whole flipping of the hands on the grill, and
Based the whole thing on that.
he based the whole thing on that. That was like,
the whole game is that way though. It was all mostly on the fly, except for the main story stuff. It was literally the videos we put out.
But that's
on
how
the
we wanted
fly.
to be. That was what the goal was.
It's real. That's what it is.
Well,
It's
yeah,
real.
I know that the first thing, the military was to be hostile to the criminals, but me and my guys were like, hey, there's rules of engagement. Hey, we're not supposed to shoot.
Right.
Do you know what? Do you know how I got that battle started?
How'd you do it?
So after, like, Phantom here actually came over to me. He was a little heated.
I was not heated.
No, you're definitely bleeding.
He
so-
was like, why can't we? He's like, is everyone just attacking the zombies? Why aren't any of the other factions fighting? So, and we're only at this point maybe an hour into the game, and I'm like, okay. So I went to the Night Sky guys, who were like people that we had in the game as NPCs to, like, people could buy to do things and stuff like that. I was like, I want you to go to the criminal base and I want you to fight them. And whether you win or lose, I want you to tell them the military paid you to do it. And then, once you're done, I want you to go over to the military, do the same thing, and tell them the criminals paid them to do it. After that, we started getting them fighting all the time.
And it was so much better because I was bleeding
yeah.
flawless.
I know there was a time that me and some guys, we actually snuck the whole backside of Ambush, came up, and we're looking at the back of the base of the criminals, and it started a 20-30 minute gunfight of winging BBs just through wherever.
I tell you what, they came to play though.
Yeah,
the
they
criminals,
did.
like
everybody
Well,
did,
Ron,
honestly.
everybody came to play, but Ron Bailey and his guys brought that freaking Jeep
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
minigun
with
on
the
top.
turd on
We
top.
refused to let them through for a good 45 minutes to an hour just to be that person.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like, a lot of the people, I mean, some of those people from New York, they drove a good 6-7 hours to come down to this game, and I can't even thank them enough. Like, the Mercs team, the NCR guys, and the Wargs, and a couple of these other people that came with them from these other teams, like, these people are awesome, and, like, a lot of the people have been following Otherworld since the beginning. It's been like 7 years, and it's like that shows that means a lot to me that they're willing to give up a whole weekend of their lives and vacation and stuff to come down to that.
Not only did they give up a weekend, they bought a freaking car
That's true.
and souped it up.
And the gas prices nowadays.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys real quick, and I want to ask this is, what is you guys' favorite boffer of the whole event?
The guy that had the dead end sign.
I was gonna say the Dead End side. I think by far was my favorite.
Yes, he
offer.
did. He
I'm
did.
gonna go ahead and
amazing
say
on that.
Heatstrokes penis hand.
I knew you were gonna say
sword.
that.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, it made me laugh. Whenever I saw, all right, so Alicia Rivera did the photography. If you guys didn't know, she's a really great photographer. But when she took pictures of Heatstroke running around with this
It
giant
was hilarious.
Yeah.
donkey dick worth of a sword, I was just like,
I knew when my guys were like, hey, I messaged in the Discord. I said, hey, I got enough extra stuff. Does anyone want anything? And honestly, we love trolling Heatstroke. And when he told me that he needed something, I'm like, okay, we're making him a floor model dildo sword.
Definitely though the ring sign. I mean, no.
what about the fishing pole guy?
Yeah,
that was
that was
cool,
good too.
Well, they were the deadly duo, from my understanding. Correct? They were friends.
And then
No, the fishing pole dude was Aaron from the Mercs.
Okay.
He was with the cable guy and
the cable
They're
guy.
the
was what I was
cable
gonna
guy.
say.
the cable guy. It was close on the survivors to pick the
There's too many good
best
ones.
costume, but like. You know, that's why we had to sort of give some of them the two guys, because like we had all the NPCs pick who they thought, and it was kind of dead even, a lot of them. But like I thought it was Travis Warholic, the cable guy. I mean, he even made all of his Boffer weapons were the cable weapons he would use. He got the ID badge made. I mean, like that's what we wanted to see with this game. Like people that were like, you know, went above and beyond, because they wanted to enjoy the experience as well. Like, I understand the military was harder to do that. I mean, you're literally wearing...
Yeah, we're all wearing camo.
But
Yeah.
at the same time,
Yeah.
it's what you put into it. That's what you get out of it. So I mean, the people who actually went the extra mile, I'm sure they had a better time.
I felt bad for Ian. He made that cool like post-apocalyptic outfit with the tarp on him, but he looked like it was, because it was warmer.
yeah.
It was a lot warmer out than people thought it was, and you could tell, even though he was a little skinny dude, I mean, you could tell he was dying.
that lobster and that mop suit that he was wearing.
Yeah, he was running around wearing a Tyvek suit. I don't know
I'm
how
like,
he did
dude,
it.
how are you doing this
Oh,
right now? Ugh. And he had the gas mask on.
And he had it all played up too, which looked
Yeah,
really nice.
There was, like I said, it was cool. Even I know we talked about Ron Bailey, but like I love the whole concept of all the police badges and stuff, like trophies for him. Like I thought that was like an epic touch. Like I just
They even got custom patches and stuff made for it.
oh yeah, a lot of people. One dude at a Wishwell PD patch and hat,
And a badge, I think, too.
and maybe a bad. You know, I mean, it was like I said. I mean, I appreciate all that, because that's the kind of stuff that like people will remember, and that helps us build the game so much. When like I said, these pictures and these videos, like I am so excited for what Josh Ross and Chris Neal are making their videos. I've seen little teasers. Like I'm so excited to share those videos with all you guys.
Speaking of that, what do you think the future of this game would be? Like, so this year it was capped at what, 150?
Our original goal was to have 100 total people with the staff, and we did have that.
Okay, so what's your plan for next year?
Honestly, I mean, Ambush is the perfect field for this game. There's not many other fields that offer what Ambush offers, as far as like the buildings and the trailers, how it's set up. It literally, even when you look at the pictures, it is like something out of a horror movie.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It really is. Like it fits an apocalyptic type feel perfectly, where most fields don't. And like I like the idea that people could sneak around, that you don't have to get in contact. So I mean, I can't see us going more than total of like 150 for this game. I would rather, like I said, this is not about a business thing for me. It's just about, I want everyone to have the most amazing game ever. And if that's what I have to do, is cap this game at 150 to do that, I'll do it. Like, I don't care. I don't need 500, 600, 700 people at a game where we're all breathing on top of each other. I just want the 150 people that were also enough to register early enough to not cry that we're out of tickets, to have the time of their lives. That's all I want.
Plus, on top of that, if we go a smaller number, individuals might start getting stories based on their backgrounds they write, or things they've done in the game, or things maybe NPCs give them to do. It might evolve into a future story. Bringing more of that LARPing aspect in, it just opens up more doors like that way too.
I know, now that we're talking about the future, that for next year, hopefully that some things develop. I already have a better backstory wrote I think I'm going to
It'll
dive in a
help.
little bit as a
Yeah.
slightly different character,
Listen.
so everyone has looking forward to that.
The more people help writing too, and
Yeah,
like
and that's like and that's another thing is like we're getting a good group of guys that have been involved. Like there's a lot of people want to help and like having people, especially here at Jackal, so often. I mean, I see a lot of you guys. I mean, I see these guys 2-3 times a week over here, and like getting to talk to people about like when I have an idea and you tell all these people about the idea. Everyone thinks it's great, but one person will be like, "Oh, this thing doesn't sound right or isn't good." That helps because like we want to make it the best story and the best objectives and stuff as we can. Like, you know, I know the missions and stuff were like kind of simple, like fine and do this, but the idea was it wasn't as simple as you thought to go in buildings and get these things when you didn't have keys to do so. It wasn't as simple to go near the survivor base and get barrels for the military when they're at the survivor base, you know.
Don't go into the survivor base.
they didn't.
That was bad.
Base
It was
at
a bad
all.
idea.
So yeah, I mean,
You wind up trip over the fence.
Honestly, they played their part right. The survivors stayed at their base. Military's watching the checkpoint. Zombies were being stealthy and killing me nonstop, just sneaking up behind me.
Same.
and criminals tried to screw everybody.
Yeah, and criminals were just running, gunning, just miserable dicks like they should be.
So we got the kind of aspect of the sub 118s, and I mean, there's nobody from the criminal faction here. What was your experience on the military side?
So, I think for when we stuck to like I said, some of my guys, we were going with the hey, let's run actual rules of engagement. Like, let's not shoot anyone unless we're fired upon, because
That was a terrible.
we're there as a humanitarian aspect. Almost, we're there to shut down a city to keep this outbreak from going anywhere.
Glorified prison guards.
Yeah, pretty much. We were there
I
just
mean-
to shut off everything.
It's true.
Who didn't turn off their phone?
No, it's an
No, that's an Amber Alert.
We got an Amber Alert.
Stop stealing kids, people. Come on.
Was that you?
No, but
Amber Alert.
I mean, that was just everybody.
Amber.
Yeah, so like
Who's Amber and why have we been alerted?
so like with the military though, like, you know, not everyone knows the military story. Like everyone had their own unique story that their faction RPS read. In the military, you had videos to watch that Chris Neal did a great job with. Like, so your story, yes, your story was different. It
Yeah.
was protect the checkpoints, don't let anyone in or out of the city. Like that's what your goal was. Other people didn't know that though. You know what I mean?
We were literally there to keep everyone contained.
correct.
that was-
that was your story.
I went to the Porter Johns, which were outside of the.
The amount of criminals that walked past our checkpoint that I shot just because they were walking by was phenomenal. So I let you sneak by a few times because that Warhammer scared me.
Well, whatever.
I have a confession. I was the asshole who kept knocking down the checkpoint.
Oh, I
Oh,
knocked
it's
yeah.
you!
I knocked
Yeah.
it down every time someone wasn't looking.
They had kicked it from the four-wheeler.
I
Yeah.
knocked it down every time someone
We
wasn't
were making sure you're
looking.
doing your job. That's all. You know, keep you active.
Yeah, we actually have with talking about the military and stuff. We actually have some probably some big changes next year. I won't go
like
too
that.
crazy about it. We're gonna talk about it before we make official posts about it. But we're probably gonna have some gonna be some faction changing and stuff like that going on
Throwing some
for
curveballs.
next year. Yeah, I mean there's things that like I know some people aren't gonna agree with, but once again, if I gain 50 and upset 5 and 5 don't come, we're okay with that. Like it's we want this game to be the vision we want, and not just me, but all of us.
There's gonna be a lot of
And we
fights.
want it to be as safe as possible. And with that being said, we're definitely going to be looking at some changes, especially with guns and stuff for next year. So.
There's some future fights between us. I'm sure, and arguments about what's gonna.
Oh,
work and not
I'm
work.
sure.
It's gonna be great.
I'll take it though.
Let's take the more.
I've been
rough
taking
anywhere,
it. I've been
so-
taking it from some harsh critics for the last 7+ years when it comes to this stuff. So I can take it. So
Pussy.
Well, we've heard from military. I mean, you've heard from me from the sub 118 side, but I was also patient zero, and you had mentioned before it was probably one of the hardest roles to fill.
well, you were going to be busy.
Yeah.
And I mean it's the same with Jared who played Dr. Church. You and Dr. Church were the busiest two NPCs as far as a story aspect.
Right, but basically what I was trying to transition into is to bring in someone that was not an NPC and kind of have them talk about their zombie experience, just to show people that it would be a fun role to fill. I know we have two awesome zombie brothers here, and I think one of them should come out and probably just give their experience on being a sub 118.
Yeah. All right, so now we brought in the brothers Graham, which we call them. A little weird thing. One has Graham as a first name, the other has Graham as a last name. Don't know who's who, but it's all right. They played.
We got Bull and Amiri.
Yep.
Amiri.
Yeah, Miri and Bull. Okay, they were subject 118s, and we got Greg in here now. He was behind the camera for a while, but I'd like to talk about some of his experiences as well. He's for some reason camera shy. He'll sit here with all these expensive ass
We
cameras and
literally
tools and-
sat here for hours setting up all this camera equipment, but yet he doesn't want to be in it because he's
I'm a behind the camera kind of guy. I don't know what to tell you.
freaking quit. All right, so I wanted to bring in some subject 118s. They weren't NPCs or anything like that. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because the subject 118 role is really hard to fill, I guess. I think it's because people don't want to get shot and not have ranged weapons on them. But do you want to go ahead and give, what's your experience of the subject 118?
Well, I completely loved the game. It was probably my favorite game that I've ever played, and
Why?
I had a lot of fun, and it wasn't too bad that you just got shot and you couldn't, shoot them back.
Uh-huh.
Especially because you had the throwable boffer weapons, and just you had that small hitbox that was just your torso.
Uh-huh.
It was really easy to get up close to people, especially sneaking around at night.
Yeah.
And yeah, but other than that,
Well, that and we didn't need key cards to get in
That
anywhere,
too,
so
yeah.
we could hide in the
You
buildings
could
and
go
all that
everywhere.
crap.
Oh, and I do want to say something. You guys did awesome, both of you, on your outfits. Once again, for you in 1 week to say you're coming to the game and you made the awesome cut marks in your vest and your clothing was all ripped and bloodied.
They had the blood inside.
That's what I'm saying.
It was burned.
There was no way you could say I didn't know they were subject 118. You guys definitely looked the part. So I mean, you just did awesome on that.
Well, yeah. If you go to Alicia's website and look at the pictures and stuff like that, those half the pictures, the zombies, I was like, all right, yeah, those are my guys. So, no, but so you two hung out pretty much the entire time together. You had your boffer weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, we stayed close.
Was it hard to close in on people and actually get a kill?
It was more strategy. You'd sneak through a building and you'd see hey, there's 5 people that are sitting there, criminals or something, and then we'd walk around the building, sneak around, wait for one of them to stray off by themselves, and we'd go and attack them and see if we can get anybody else.
So it was more of trying to figure out how to get the enemy rather than just running around being a crazy person.
We usually I would wait until someone would be by themselves, or if nobody's paying attention to where my general direction is, I'd run up on them and see how many kills I can get.
Is that essentially what you wanted from the subject 118?
Yes, they were a perfect example of teamwork to get a kill. Even if you both die, if you achieved 1 brain token, it was worth the death because it didn't affect your point any way whatsoever to die. So and like I said, you guys had to have killed me alone 30 times in this game. Anytime I pulled my radio or stopped for a second, you guys were
Just tap you on the
it's
shoulder.
okay.
Well, Phantom killed me 3 times when he needed somewhere to hide.
Yeah, I was using your ATV the entire time because I was trying to get the criminal flag.
Yeah.
Because they stole it back. So what did you think about that respawn time? The 5 minutes, you stay in one spot and then people essentially forgot you were.
Yeah.
And that happened often, where people they kill. I saw so many times they kill. That time I was talking about where I was trying to be 12, all the zombies got killed and everyone's just sitting there bullshitting for forever. And I think it was actually heat stroke was and they're oh shit, we forgot, and I think that was one thing that I think Tommy and I only decided a little bit later on in the rule process. It was still before the video, but in the rules that we were we don't want to just make the subject 118s just always constantly have to go back to their base. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to do that. Kneel down on the ground, take a 5-minute break, and start eating again. That's what we wanted it to be like.
I'm not gonna lie, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun, like respawning right in the middle of everybody.
Yeah, and there was a time that a bunch of the zombies were dead in one spot, and I just walked into it and played dead, and then I waited for someone to come past me and hit their ankles or something.
Yeah.
Technically, you're not playing dead because you are dead.
Yeah, we are dead.
So
Yeah, we actually, one thing we sort of talked about along the lines of that 5-minute bleed out for subject white teams is maybe let them crawl around still. So if they're knocked down and they're shot, instead of them making them just sit in one spot, make it that they can actually still crawl around on the ground and stuff. So if you're dumb enough just to stand there and they want to crawl towards you and still tag you, they could.
It's an interesting idea.
that's actually not a bad
I would
idea.
love that.
I feel like it
should
invites
do
a lot
that,
of
like,
headshots.
Keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Yeah, like we talked about it. Like I said, we don't know for sure that's how it'll be, but like I said, there's the subject 19s. The idea is that they are never gonna go away. Like they're not ever gonna die.
I tell you what, I had 17 or 18 subs, and I mean we ruled the field.
You ruled the same. I mean,
We came
people.
in second.
We literally were told by the survivors. We were told by the survivors that we were scared to shit to be in the city at nighttime, so we just avoided the city at all costs because they know all the subject 118s were in the city. And I remember there was a time when the survivors were up on I forget what trailer number it is, an ambush there, but it's like the first trailer when you're coming down the road where the smoke machine, the light and stuff was. Mm-hmm. And there was this cool picture or video of like the survivors there, and then you see like the subject 118s coming through the smoke, down from the smoke. Like that was pretty like epic, and like that's the goal. Like we want to get that whole city covered in smoke and stuff for next year. Mm-hmm. We want to have more lights, more smoke, more sound effects and stuff like that. So
Smoked out city.
yeah,
It'd be pretty cool.
yeah. As long as someone doesn't keep moving all the lights we put in the buildings.
Yeah,
Sorry, we thought it was a challenge.
Don't touch the props unless you're on a mission to do so.
my favorite thing about it was probably nighttime and just coming out of nowhere and scaring
Oh,
whoever
yeah.
I could.
Like hiding in a corner,
Yeah,
and then
just
someone
jump
traverses the
scaring
corner, and you're
someone.
like,
Yeah.
"Fuck, fuck."
And it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy to see the amount of adults, like you know. And I jumped. I'm not gonna
Scream
lie.
like
I was
little
jump
girls.
scared. I jump scared one or two times. It's like it was crazy to see the amount of people that actually did, and they can sit there and say, "Oh yeah, right, blah blah." Blah. I watched it. Like I watched the game. People were scared. Like people jumped a lot. Like they were, especially at nighttime. Like I said, walking near them buildings and stuff. It's like
Eerie.
you should stay away from the buildings.
Okay,
because-
so I just want to say I stayed after the game a little bit and was taking the key card things down, and I was freaked the fuck out the whole time.
you're like waiting.
Well, when
We're
my
still
when my
there.
buddy said, "Hey, you want some help?" I'm like, "Yes."
Ambush is, like I said, Ambush is a super eerie place. Denny at Ambush, like I love Denny, been a good friend of mine for a long time. But like Ambush, like the story we wrote for the game, Ambush, like I said, fits it perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds you, like I said, it was like became a military base. This part of the town became a military base, and it reminds you of something that would have been like ran down after an apocalypse, and that's what it looks like. The buildings all are kind of falling apart, and wood's hammered back together to hold things together. And Ambush, like I said, is the perfect home for Wishwell, and I hope that if everything goes well, we can keep this rolling at Ambush.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that one of the big things that I want to change for, let's be honest, I'm going to be Patient Zero next year. It was so fun. I have to do it again. If Paul lets me.
You're more than welcome to do it again.
It was so much fun. I think that I'm going to utilize the train tunnel more because I don't think any of my zombies.
That one picture Alicia took in the
Such a
train.
good
I really like that one picture.
Yeah.
We should have had something in there.
But I think
Well,
that,
we sort of made it a base for the subject, even though they didn't really use it.
Yeah.
We were trying to, like I said, we were. That was an original plan of the map, was to have the two bases of subject 19s. That was before we did the 5-minute bleed out to not have to go back to your spawn all the time. But like I think next year we can use that more. It doesn't have to be a base. Like there's no reason for it to be a base, especially when you guys said you really didn't even use it.
yeah, we didn't
So-
use it at all.
One interesting thing I think we could try, and I don't know if you're open to the idea or not, is for a period of time, if somebody, I don't know, does something Patient Zero becomes a mobile respawn for the Subject 118s, and he can just walk along, tagging them, and boom, they're back up. And
I'm good with it.
And he can't
That
die.
sounds
during
like an
that period of
amazing
time,
idea.
but he also
Sounds
can't
like
kill
an
people.
ultimate.
Well, I started writing the story and then writing the script for Wishwell month 2, and like we definitely have the
28
zombie.
Wishwells later.
We definitely have the Subject 118s and the zombies. Like we mentioned the story about their evolution and how they evolved. And I know we evolved them faster in the game than we wanted to, but it was something I had to do to make it that the zombies weren't just walking around getting lit up for no reason. And that's what, like I said, first hour of the game, that's definitely how it was. We saw it. We had to do whatever we could to fix that. So the zombies will definitely be just as evolved at the start of the next Wishwell.
My guys adapted and overcame. So we've heard from the Subject 118s. I think that we need to hear from the NPC's perspective.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now we wanted to talk to some of the RPS or role-playing staff, NPCs, whatever you want to call them, and see, and hear what they feel was like some of their best experiences and stuff with Wishwell. Like I said, I couldn't have done the game without these people. All the people that were involved as role-playing staff did an amazing job, and even the ones that aren't here, like Angel Rodriguez with his butcher and his butcher wife Emily, and then Angel Rivera and Alicia with the reporters. I mean, and there's others as well, the Hunter and Jared as Dr. Church. Like people were awesome, and I love you all, and I appreciate everything you did for this game. But we wanted to get you guys here now to talk about like your thoughts on the game and things you liked and didn't like and stuff like that. So
I think first of all, you should probably explain to them what the role of the RPS was, just so that they get a baseline of what RPS was there for.
Yeah, so like the RPS was there to enhance the game. This is the first time the staff played. Like most of us are used to helping out at games and reffing and stuff like that. And like this was our chance to shine. Like, we all wanted to play. So like their role was, some of them had story missions. Like Frankie and Tommy and you were involved in story missions. And then you had Greg, his main role was to cruise around in his 4-wheeler and have people trade patches for ammo. And I even got some grenades and stuff like that off of people. That the role is like our meeting went pretty much like, if we see people not doing something, we need to give them something to do.
I was putting bounties on people.
Oh yeah, and that's
I got a bounty put on me by freaking Alicia's husband.
That's because I got him killed, so that's my fault.
Yeah, so I mean, like that was.
I may have sent a couple people after you too.
Are you serious?
I did.
That was the role. Like I said, we talked earlier. Like the evolution of a character. Like that's what we want. Like next year at this game, we want everyone's character to be even more involved. That they play the same NPC or they play a different one. They know what it's about now. Like little side missions keep people busy. At this game, more than any other game I ever produced. If you would have told me you had nothing to do, then it's your fault. Mm-hmm. Because with the trading and searching and finding and talking, you should have never had downtime.
Honestly, most people were running around the whole game. There was no one really in the picnic areas.
What's funny, my wife said to me, and it was true, she got there at like 6:30 or so, 7 o'clock, and she said, this is the first time I've ever been at your game and there's no one in the picnic area.
It was a ghost town, which is good.
She said everyone, and she's like, and there was no one in the parking lot. She's like, so they were all on the field. So whatever we did worked because very seldom was anyone.
You had a purpose
in that picnic area.
You also had systems in place where you didn't have to give them missions. They had stuff to do. Go search that building. Go get those supplies. I mean, there was stuff to do.
I'm sorry, but to speaking of purpose, what was your purpose?
I was just helping Flo. And make weapons. But
well, he was guarding the door for me while I was shooting.
That's true. I did take a grenade for him and some other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, like, he had his side missions, but he was more like me. Like, I didn't do a lot of that extra side stuff because, like, I feel like, especially me, Tommy, and Greg, no one knew the rules better than us. Like we said before, I don't know if we said in this video, but Greg had to listen to my stupid fucking voice for editing the rules video for like a month straight. You know, so like we knew the rules very well. We knew them inside and out.
I think this was
little
misunderstood. So like Frank Dan was the locksmith. So his job was to unlock doors for people. He was the trader.
So basically, I was given side missions for the scrap things, but honestly, I switched my focus more to make people fight each other that weren't fighting each other.
Okay.
I was starting beef between the factions as much as possible. At one point, there was a group of zombies they were sick of getting shot at, so they took me out. I just sat there and yelled as loud as I could, trying to draw other people in so the zombies would eat them.
I'm not gonna lie, none of the NPCs were safe around my sub 118s.
No,
I told them to eat anybody.
Oh, there's plenty of times I was walking like from one base to the other, just out of nowhere. I'm like, middle of the woods, no one around me.
You had said in the beginning, like, don't target the NPCs.
Yeah, we actually, you know, that was one thing that we've already discussed.
He said don't target the NPCs, but he threw a grenade at me.
Same here.
And NPCs grenaded me too.
I did actually kill some NPCs with grenades, but like, so one thing we talked
do
about.
You have some anger issues that you need to work on.
You have
should
no
have seen
idea.
the smile on his face when he
If you
threw that
worked
grenade
where
at
I
me.
worked for
Right.
real, you have no idea. But like one thing we talked about for next year was like a blue light for NPCs. If the NPC had the blue light activated, it meant they're like doing something important, like part of a story or whatever. So like leave the NPC alone. If the blue light's off, then you can go to town attacking and
that actually makes it really.
And do it. Yeah, we
Blue light's
actually
special.
Yeah, we just thought like there were times I know Frankie was trying to get some missions and stuff done, and it got to, especially at nighttime, it got to the point where going through the city was not a safe place to go.
I didn't go in that city at night.
Yeah, so I mean, the blue light thing is something we quickly came up with, and I can't think of a reason why it's a bad idea. I feel like it's a good idea. So.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, well, for me, when I went to the survivors camp and I got obliterated, then you were like trying to find me to go do the military's final objective, which they failed miserably at.
Yeah, hells.
Yeah, hells.
Yeah, hells.
I was too busy sneaking around, killing criminals with nods on. I wasn't part of that.
I'm yeah, Goose.
Goose was not talking to you.
No.
But yeah, I can get that. So like if I'm doing a mission for like
Yeah, like if you don't want to be like just everyone attacking you and we need you for something else, put the blue light on.
This guy doesn't like to be attacked at all.
Ow. Yeah.
Don't mess with Lucille.
Yes, I mean, like I said, the blue light. I think it is a good idea. It's a good step moving forward.
What was the idea behind the butcher?
Honestly, the whole butcher thing was like I just want to buy a bunch of cool ass props, like the pig head and stuff behind me.
3 times a day I get a text, hey man, look what I bought.
Dude, I drove to 6 Spirits because I wanted a second one of these pig heads. I had one. I drove to 6 Spirits looking for them, and I finally found it then. But, we just thought it'd be like, the idea of the butchers was like we wanted a crazy, he was supposed to be crazy. Like the butcher was probably crazy way before, Patient Zero became a thing. And
I mean, Angel did a very good job on
oh my god,
portraying
all
that.
the side missions he set people on with like finding the heart and the baby, naming the baby, and once again, like that's what we wanted the RPS to do. Like simple little things like, and it was crazy. Like his mission to send it was actually a story mission for him to capture the rat that made Patient Zero Patient Zero.
I'm so tired of this rat.
Yes, the rat went missing a million times, but like
Where did it bite you?
but yeah, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
Oh.
But yeah, so like the butcher shop was like a thing. We just had an idea that we were going to write some missions for it. Originally, we were going to have it on the field, but then we sort of like evolved that into this idea that we wanted the compound to sort of be in play as well, and we were going to put the butcher shop and the weaponsmith and the fortune teller and hopefully a bunch more shops for next Wishwell in the compound there at Ambush.
Let me just say, Angel's acting chops that he had during the game, I really hope that I don't see a future Dahmer documentary on that man.
There probably is one. We just haven't seen it.
I want to talk, since we're talking about RPS, like in RPS that definitely stood out was Angel Rivera with that
Yeah,
That
camcorder.
freaking camera.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is a time, and I know there's going to be a video of it. Sean Reed, who was the faction RPS for the military, he's there trying to fight criminals in the woods, and Angel is literally with the camera in his face, like this close, and Sean's trying to push him, like, let me alone. He's like, what do you think about this war? Do you think you should be here? And he's like, in his face, and I saw Angel do that to like so many people, and it was so funny because people were actually getting really annoyed by it.
Well, the guy's built by a Greek god. It's not like you're gonna do anything to him.
But it was so funny, and like that's why I said like these videos, man, they're gonna be so epic when they come out because like we captured a lot of that on video. So
Yeah, another YouTuber, Shinobi, he started doing a video on that. I hope he does more with that because the beginning that he did looked really well.
yeah, I watched the video. He did a good job, and the weird thing with Shinobi is he was sort of a last minute. You know, he only asked me a couple days if there was still a spot, and he still wasn't even sure the day of if he was going to play, and he asked if he could, and I said if you're playing military, you know, they could use you, and he did it. So I mean, it was cool that he was able to come on the spot, get all the footage, and
It made me wish that I was recording.
I think
I was.
So I accidentally had my GoPro on camera, not video.
Oof.
So you took one picture of the entire game.
No,
No,
I
it was
noticed
over.
I noticed it wasn't recording a couple times, so I hit the button again. So I've got like 6 pictures.
Oh,
Hopefully
That's
they're
the
good
worst.
ones at least.
No.
Yeah, I think definitely. You know what would be cool for you if we could rig something up on your giant axe, a camera on your axe.
Oh,
dude,
to
we
watch
totally
it
did.
hitting people?
Oh yeah, that'd be so freaking
The
awesome.
problem is what if it hits them and it hurts them?
We'll keep the camera like on the back of the weapon,
can
like
pat
not the
it.
front
Oh,
or
alright,
something.
yeah.
Dude, I make
could
weird stuff out with
Drill a
Buffer,
hole
actually.
out and like embed
I'm
the
just thinking
camera
that'd be
in.
pretty awesome. Could you imagine?
First of all, that is really kinky sounding. Do you make weird things out of boffers?
Maybe.
Oh, alright.
I would.
could you imagine though, like someone's
Future
face?
Greg, cut this
You
out.
say you're swinging the weapon and you see this like slow motion of the weapon coming at them. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, if you guys didn't know, you didn't see any pictures, I had a giant freaking mace type thing.
It was like 6.5 foot long.
Picture the grab hammer from Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what people were comparing me to. They
Yeah.
were like, you're the brute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were a mix between Pyramid Head and the Brute.
Yeah. I was going for the pyramid.
It was good.
I wanted to rip people.
I couldn't fight you. I hated it.
I fought him.
He did.
I tell you what, who I did fight, very enjoyable. I fought Tyler. He's the one that had the bow and arrow with the criminals.
He was awesome.
Like, I made this mistake. I walked up to him, and they were just sort of, like, chilling. So I picked a fight with them. And, like, I was expecting him, like, put his bow down and pull his, like, other boffer weapon out. And so he just, like, shoots me. It almost hit me right in the nuts, honestly. But, like...
I mean, that's payback for what you did to Demo.
It's true. I did hit Demo in the nuts. But, like, that was, like, really cool, you know. Once again, there's another example of someone who put some time and thought. Tyler had a cool backstory for his character and stuff like that. And, like, you know, we're going to save all that information. Hopefully we can really evolve that into this LARP style of gaming.
Speaking of time and thought, there was an NPC that put a lot of time and thought on like side quests and stuff like that, and I believe before the game even started, this guy right here put in like small what was the lockpicking thing all about?
So basically, that if you don't know me, that I'm a computer guy and I do a bunch of cybersecurity stuff. And one thing with cybersecurity is if you don't have physical security, you don't have anything. So what a lot of people like to do is learn how to pick locks. And one thing to really help you hone your skills is doing a lockpick village. That's just basically having a bunch of locks ranging from easy to hard, and you pick them, and they're in a traditional competition, they're worth more points the harder they are. But for this game, what I did was that the harder the lock was, the better the rewards would be. So like a loot box kind of deal.
Well, yeah. All right. So the hardest box that you had, what was the time that the guy got?
I wasn't really doing it on time, but it took a little while for someone to pick the lock. And for those of you who are lock pick or lock aficionados, it was a Brinks number 40. But it took like, I think like 15, 20 minutes for someone to pick that lock.
And that was all the criminals, wasn't it?
That was all the criminals.
I'm going to go ahead and say, FBI, watch out for this man.
You're on a list.
Yeah, Frankie has some more ideas for that. Like next year, he wants to have like an actual like lock picking village. Like we know people enjoyed it now. The goal is like I know a lot of people didn't like that downtime from the rules and stuff like that, but that's what we wanted. We wanted people to start introducing themselves to each other, meeting each other. They spent time with Frankie picking the locks, and that's what we want to do, evolve the compound to have a good story before the game even starts. But like next year, like I said, Frankie wants to have like a whole, like the actual lock picking, what'd you call it?
Lock picking village.
The lock picking village, so will even be more locks and stuff like that next year for you guys to mess around with.
I would have to say the only thing that I didn't really understand about one of the mini games that you made up was the $20 thing.
Oh, I just needed a fetch quest.
Well, my thing is like I'm a zombie. Why do I care about $20? Why am I gonna have
$20 is $20, bro.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe before you got bit, it was in your pocket.
So was that your point on it? Was like it was in my pocket before that, so if they killed me, they would take $20 off me and give it back to you?
Yeah, that the story was basically that 2 weeks before the war ended, I did a job for you, and you shorted me $20. So go get $20 from patient zero.
Oh, all right. Well, it makes more sense now. When he walked up to me at the beginning of the match, and he handed me first of all, he handed me a thing of $20 bills that were obviously fake. They were black and white.
Yep.
And Frankie walks up to me and he was like, Phantom, don't worry, these are fake. And I look at them and I'm like, no shit. No shit, man.
Speaking of fake money, Steve from the Mercs who played in the Survivor faction, who's actually the faction leader for the Survivors, he brought a giant backpack filled with like $10,000 stacks of money, and he asked, "Is this against the rules of the game?" I'm like, if people are willing to trade you for your money, it's not against the game. Like it's.
What was it fake?
I mean, hells, how many times did you trade me grenades for stuff? Like it's, and like there was a time where they said, "I'll give you money," and it was like, I want 10,000 more, and I had carrying these giant stacks of money around. It was like I thought that was cool that like once again that. Another person that went above and beyond to.
I was wondering where the hell that money came from.
He had a whole backpack. I forget how much he said in total, like $500,000 in fake $100 bills he brought.
Yeah, someone walked up to me and they were like holding this stack of cash. I'm like, I have no idea where this came from.
Yeah.
I just refused to take it. As the trader, people are like, "Can I give you this for BBs?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why not? It's money." And I was like, "Well, ever since the government fell, paper's nothing for me."
Gold or nothing at all.
Gold or patches, bro.
Speaking of gold, like how do you think that was an okay thing, like the trading the actual coins and stuff like that?
Well, I felt like, as the trader, I felt like everybody was after BBs, and I had patches, I had tourniquets, I had brain tokens, I had all this other stuff, and then all they wanted was BBs.
They should have taken them brain tokens,
I'll tell you
boys.
what, it's funny you say it because we were just thinking about this the other day. I think it was actually me and Tom talking about like one thing I spent a lot of time on that really didn't get utilized at all were the cures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the NPCs had at least two that could have been
like 3 or 4
that could have been traded for. No one ever asked me for one, and I get it. Like it didn't mean a whole lot, but it did give you another brain token back for using it.
And how many? We took almost all of them, didn't we?
The brain tokens?
Yeah.
I don't know how many were left, or I would say there had to have been a good amount. I would say if any faction still had brain tokens left, it would have probably, for the most part, had to have been the Survivors
because they didn't leave their base.
They avoided.
They turtled.
Well, no, that's not true at all. They were around all the outskirts and stuff. They just stayed away from the conflict in the city, which
makes sense.
If they were willing to play their characters,
I don't understand how they got so many resources not going into the town.
Trading, man. They did go to the town at the beginning of the game, but when it started getting crazy at nighttime and stuff, that's when they stayed away. They did like I said, as far as if I had to pick a faction that did the best as far as trading, it was definitely the Survivors. I mean, they were always asking me for medical, for ammo, upgrade, the most important stuff, key cards, Like that's what they were asking for, and they were willing to trade as much food and water to get those, and that's why, like I said, they had a ton of medical supplies.
And they still ended the game. Like I saw their patch wall at the end of the game, and I was like, where would you even put anything else?
Yeah, I mean they had every color key card plus extras of some.
Yeah.
Like they every faction did amazing, and like I said, and that's what I want people to like. If we could do this game without a score, I would do it, but the score has a purpose. Like we literally are writing the story around the faction that wins from the year before. Like we're evolving that story.
Join
what happens.
Subject 118s. We only lost by 200 points. We need you.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Like and like I said, everyone was equally awesome at this game. Like I really have no complaints about any individual faction or individual person. Everyone was amazing. So.
Well, every time I went around to any one of the bases and saw what was going on with the patch wall or the teamos, it was hard for me to not be like, I think you guys are like ahead. Like I can't honestly say you're not. And then I'd go to the next place to try and peddle my wares. And
I liked going to the criminal base because I kept getting free snacks and free candy and stuff like that.
I got free water after I was killed.
Oh, I was eating. I mean, I don't even know what it was. Sour Patch Kids, I think, and it was.
Oh, they were offering me candy for BBs.
You guys are getting free stuff?
Yeah.
Well, all right. So so Ron Bailey killed me in the criminal base, and I was like, man, I'm really thirsty. And he's like, oh, here's some water for you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I need to die over here more often. Survivors gave me like 2 bottles of water too.
Didn't who was it that said they threw a grenade at the criminals and went in their Jeep, top of the Jeep, and in their cooler, closed their cooler and blew up in their cooler, and then it was all black in their cooler. Someone was telling me about that.
I didn't know about that.
I forget who it was.
That's great.
That told me. Yeah, they said they threw it, went over their Jeep, in the top of the Jeep, landed in their cooler, closed the cooler lid, and blew up in the cooler.
That is insane.
I don't remember who that was. If you knew who you are, tell me.
Hey, did we ever find out who found the little box that we hid?
No.
Was that from
Guess
the
what?
tokens?
Guess
Yes.
what? I know who found it. I did after an hour of searching for it the next Sunday at cleanup.
So nobody ever.
They gave up, and when some people were looking for it, they were nowhere close to it.
God.
What was it?
I had a
All right, so it had what, like?
stuff.
Wait, hold on. So if you guys didn't know, during the game you would get these poker chips if you did
Yeah.
something really cool, and they would have like QR code on it, and you would get like it would give you. It was kind of like getting a riddle
In
to
pieces.
to a side mission. You had to get all 4 to know exactly where the side mission was. So that's where we are. What was in it?
What did you? We had like a ton of coins.
There was, I think there were like 4 upgrade patches, like 8 ammo patches, a ton of gold and silver, definitely a bunch. I mean, it was
about this big.
It was
stuffed
filled
to the gills.
It was filled with stuff.
The riddle was 500 paces.
Paces from the tunnel.
North, was it north?
Yes.
North from the tunnel.
North from the train tunnel, right? So we get about 150 feet, which is like
Dude, we were
50 paces.
Yeah.
We'd already fallen down a hill. I had walked through a spider web at least twice.
I slipped over logs.
You slipped on
multiple
at least
times.
2 logs, and we're only 150 feet into the woods.
And we're almost
away
at
from
Ambush's boundary. I'm like, dude, this 500 paces, we're gonna be like way off of Ambush's property.
And it's just like, tell all the NPCs, just if anyone asks, it's more like 50 feet.
It's more like, yeah,
150
so I say
feet.
it's more like 500 feet, not 500 paces, which is probably like maybe like 300 feet.
But so yeah, we get there and we've fallen down a hill and walked through spider webs and slipped on logs and just completely. I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to get back up the hill, honestly.
Yeah, it was,
so we hid the thing. We just put 2
it
sticks.
sounded
over
like a
it.
great idea in the beginning, but obviously like.
Maybe an easier riddle next time.
Well, the riddle was fine because so everybody on the Discord, if you're not a part of the Discord, I'm sure there will be a link somewhere. Everybody on the Discord kind of like huddled together to figure out what the tokens actually meant.
Yeah.
And so we actually got the riddle at the end, and I was like, I think I know where that is.
I actually have all of
They
them.
were numbered, but the tokens themselves were numbered, so you knew what place to put them in for the
Right.
riddle.
Because there was one, there was like a cross at the cross.
Search for the wooden cross money you'll find. I have all 4 of them right here, here, and here.
Okay,
Nor
but
am I there.
either way, like it was really self-explanatory. But I was like, all right, we're just not gonna do this right now.
Yeah, like it was. You know, I sat there when I got the tokens made, and I'm like, oh, I gotta come up with this like riddle. I gotta try to do something different, not just give a token. Let's put like these QR codes in the back or whatever, and you know, it sounded like a good idea, and maybe it was. Just next year we'll you know, change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can't use the same one again.
No, I did. As I go through stuff, like I did find a decent amount of them poker chips and cards. If there are people out there that want them that did not get them in the game, I
gave mine away to people playing.
I'll bring them in here. And anyone who was at the game is more than welcome to take them. So.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that we could sit here all night talking about this game.
This is honestly, you know, it was the probably one I'd say the best, and I've enjoyed every single Otherworld Milsim game that I've been to, but I would say far and away I had the most fun, and I'm just happy that I was able to be more involved in this one than just being a player.
And it means a lot even coming from someone like you, because like once again, none of us other than Tommy had a LARPing background, and we definitely all I remember when I first was telling people, like, as soon as I said the LARPing thing, they're like, but like, airsofters are LARPers too.
They are,
like,
straight up.
Yeah.
I will say that to the day I die.
No matter, you can deny
especially
it all
mill
you want.
simmers, they are
You are
through and through.
LARPers.
You are a LARPer.
LARPerator.
LARPerator.
I'm a gravy seal.
Well, I am going to go ahead and let you transition this video out. Obviously, because it's your freaking video, but I'm trying to keep things on pace.
It's our video. We're a team.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, yeah.
See,
Hands
team.
in, nailed it. Do you have any closing words?
I just want to thank everyone once again who helped with the game and also who came to the game. I mean, you know, there was times where it's like, man, it's like, am I making a mistake with this game? You know, people don't, you know, there's a lot of people in this industry of airsoft that don't want to try something new, and like we struggled a little bit to get some numbers at first, and then it did pick up once we started getting the word out. But like, you know, I just want to thank everyone who came out and just gave it a try, you know, and you know, if you didn't like it, you know, awesome, no big deal, you tried it. But like, those of you who loved it, let's push this and get this maxed out for next year, and even have 1,000,000 times better of an experience than we already had this year. And you know, other than that, I love you all, and call your hits.
Call your hits.
Have a good one, guys.
I thought everybody was
You know-
going to do it, and it didn't happen. So, all right. Now I feel.
Call your hits!
Call your hits!